when you bring up this 28 carry per average for a four-string running back under Ryan Day, and that seems, we've all seen it in the past from a number of programs where that guy might be a program guy, a senior who's been around, people love him, he's just a worker, he's on special teams, and now he gets to carry it 5 times against Arkansas State or somebody of that ilk. But you just mentioned a string of guys that are just beginning their careers, and that senior that's stuck around for 4 or 5 years, it doesn't exist necessarily in this program, and it's pretty sparse across the country in terms of the big teams. And you see more of this. So in a sense, on the surface, this seems like big deal. Carry it 3 to 5 times against the worst teams in the Big Ten or in Arkansas State, fill in the blank. But you're obviously looking at the potential of another injury. We don't want to think about that. We're also looking at somebody trying to make a splash and prove something who's just at the outset of their career.
Yeah, thinking back in Jim Tressel's time when they would have 5 walk-on running backs who would get carries during a season. And it's just, it's not that way anymore. Now they've got running backs who can do it. But like you said, the 5th-year guy, the program guy, he's either never been to Ohio State or certainly not going to last, because those guys almost aren't recruited anymore, especially at the skill positions.
Yeah, I agree. Can you hear me?
Yep. We got you.
Okay. I don't know if I had a blip there for a second, but I think that you hope it never comes to this, and you hope nothing happens to Henderson and nothing happens to Mayan Williams, because those two guys, tremendously talented to start with. Dallin Hayden, it was said, played pretty well in the scrimmage as well on Saturday. So, man, I'm struggling. Guess we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But hopefully they can get through the season with those 3 guys and fill in around the cracks with some of those walk-ons that Tony brought up.
He mentioned Steel Chambers. Now, I'm not suggesting that Steel Chambers jump to the other side of the line of scrimmage again and do that. But we just haven't talked much about Steel Chambers, maybe at all, for the last several weeks. And I'm just curious as to whether there's a thought that here's a guy that did a pretty remarkable job, formidable job at linebacker after, of course, switching over. And we know that he had a background at linebacker in high school, but still, for him to make that switch on the Big Ten level and be as productive as he was, whether there could be even more growth compared to other guys because of him showing what he did last year and now having another full off season, whether Steel Chambers really makes an impact.
Well, Jim Knowles said last week that Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg have taken over that linebacker position and taken over that linebacker room. They are the top 2 guys. And one of the things that he stressed about Steel Chambers was just the confidence he has. He has more confidence than any of the other Will linebackers. Now you look at the Will linebackers and you're talking about CJ Hicks, a true freshman, Chip Trainum playing his first stint at linebacker. So he should have more confidence than those guys, but he has emerged as a leader. And when you talk to him, and Steve, I think you've talked to him plenty, he's a happy-go-lucky guy. He cusses more than any player that I've ever interviewed, and not in a bad way, but just in a casual way. And he'll just throw it out there. He's very comfortable in his own skin, both outside of football and now maybe more importantly, inside of football as a linebacker. He's a linebacker now for, 13 months, and he fully sees himself as a linebacker now, putting on more weight. And I'm really excited to see what he does in Jim Knowles' defense, because linebackers get after it for Jim Knowles.
Yeah, the reaction coming out of the scrimmage was that he played pretty well, and that he and Tommy Eichenberg have nailed down the linebacker spots pretty much. So I don't think they're going to rob Peter to pay Paul in this instance, unless, a game was on the line and they turned to him and said, it's 4 minutes to go. We're out of running backs. We don't want CJ Stroud to keep it. We want, we've got to do something. But, again, there'd be a lot of bad injuries that would have to happen before I think you would see him move over there and have any appreciable number of snaps in a game, but I wouldn't rule it entirely out of the realm of possibility at this point.
Maybe they just line up and say, we're going 5 wide every play and throwing 70 passes a game, no runs. Try to stop.
Don't threaten Ryan Day with a good time, But hey, Steel Chambers career 8-yard per carry average. But I think they like their short passing game as well, and the RPO stuff they consider part of the run game. They'll make it work, and I'm interested to see what they do with the plans that they had for Evan Pryor. Where do those plans go now? How much of it goes to Travion Henderson? How much of it goes to Mayan Williams? They wanted him in the passing game. Who does that go to now? We saw Jackson Smith and Jigba in the backfield in the Rose Bowl. We saw like Devontae Smith coming out of the backfield for Alabama. Do they do some of the things like that now to incorporate those plays, but with new players? And how do they fill that void? Running the ball, they'll be fine. But all of the other stuff that they wanted to do with Evan Pryor that they had plans for, where do those plans go now?